Hey everyone, it's Michael GoosebumpsFan. Number one, I'm 2 for 2 today for bad books, and I knew this one would probably be bad. I kept putting it off. I figured before I finished these Series 2000 books, I have one more, Ghost in the Mirror, and then I'll have the ranking videos next week and stuff for the Series 2000 covers and the contents of the books worst to best as well. But in the meantime, in between every couple of books that I've read from Series 2000, I basically read some TV books because I'm trying to finish up this Series 2. The TV books, of course, are novelizations of the TV screenplays as adaptations of the R.L. Stine books. They're not written by Stine himself, and they typically are consistently okay, like just fine. And I think this might be the worst one. Obviously, it's one of the worst of the classic OG series as well. It's a horrible book, horrible concept, horrible revelations and twists. Probably one of the worst books Stine ever wrote, in my personal opinion. From my experience from reading most, if not almost all, of Goosebumps, I would say that this is one of the stinkers of all of his work. And like I said, this is a novelization of the screenplay, the TV, teleplay, whatever you want to call it, of the old original book. This is not the original book with a new cover. Of course, the original book is probably like 120 pages, 130 pages. This is like 60 pages with a big font. This book is Goosebumps Presents TV Book number 6, My Hairiest Adventure. Earlier today I read Series 2000, Attack of the Graveyard Ghouls, which I was really excited for and I was very let down by. And here I am reading this one and reviewing it. My Hairiest Adventure is not one of my favorite books, as you can tell. The original book is horrible. The TV episode has a mild bit of charm. It's better than, like, Strained Peas, that particular episode, which is horrible. But at least the TV episode had a slight bit of charm to it, as awful as it is. And I don't even know if I would say I hate it. I think the book is really bad. I think the episode's pretty bad overall, but it has its charm being from the 90s and the way it looks. This TV book, again, is basically the original episode adapted into a novel. Or novella, short story, whatever. Again, this is not written by Stine. This is actually adapted by Diane Umansky. I'm not really sure how to say that name. From the teleplay written by Michael Short, based on the novel by R.L. Stine. 60 pages of total trash. Just, as you read this, especially if you've been through the story twice, like I have, you hate it more and more. Not a fan of TV books in the majority of things. I think they're okay, like I said, most of the time. They're just kind of fine, average, you know. Some can be above average, but not many in my personal taste and opinion. This one is probably the worst one that I've read from the TV books because it's probably one of the worst episodes of the Goosebumps show. As I said, over and over again. I can't say that enough because I hate My Hairiest Adventure, like many people, a lot. So, where do I even start with this one? Basically, I have a young man who lives in a city where more and more neighbors and houses and stuff are starting to go away. The houses are there, I mean, but like the neighbors are leaving, the kids are leaving. He has his group of friends, and they all have to, you know, kind of deal with this problem. Mainly our main character has to deal with this problem of all of these random wild dogs in the city, running around everywhere. They always chase him for some reason. He has a really big issue trying to get away with them, or get away from them. That's his own personal cross to bear, basically. So they're in a band, him and his friends, and they hang out in an abandoned house, essentially. And while they're there, they happen to notice that there is a bottle of some kind of instant suntan lotion on this wall, shelf, whatever. And he, being the smart person that he is, decides to take this bottle down and put it on his skin. I think his friends do as well. And after that, like the next day, I think, is when this starts, he starts seeing hair show up on his hands. Like myself. I must have found the bottle too. He starts to see hair show up all over his hands, and then it starts to show up on his neck and his face and all that. Basically, the book, My Hairiest Adventure, is an allegory for puberty. And we've all talked about that over and over again. That's been beaten senseless around here. My channel and other channels, everybody in the community has talked about this forever. You know, since the book was released, basically. And where I find it being kind of inappropriate for a kid's book, but they're right at that age, I understand. But it's also like, it's just uncomfortable. It always makes me uncomfortable when I read this. Puberty is never a fun topic to discuss anyway. It wasn't when I was in school, and it's not now. But it's just, it makes me uncomfortable. And this particular book is probably, I don't know what I like more, this or the original book. I think both are bad, equally. I don't even remember the rating I gave the original book, like at the end of the review. I reviewed it in case you want to check that out. I reviewed the episode in case you want to check that out too. But this is a stinker of a book. It's written to feel like R.L. Stine. I will give the writer that prop. That's a good thing. Pretty much all of these TV books feel like Stine wrote them, even though he wrote none of them, which is a good compliment to those writers for being able to mimic that kind of cutesy way that Stine writes that I really like a lot. But even that wasn't well done in this book, and I think it's because of the content of the book, not because of the writer. And you could argue that. People will debate that, I think. Maybe in the comments you'll see debates on that with me and some other folks. I don't know. But for me, it feels like because of the content this writer had to adapt, it's not really fair to blame them for the book not being as Stine-like in the way it's executed, in my personal opinion. I don't blame that writer. The concept is bad. The execution of the book is bad. The cover's bad. It's just horrible. It's genuinely horrible. To be fair, this is worse than Attack of the Graveyard Ghouls, which I was not impressed with and a lot of people really like. But this is really, really bad. And the ending twists, as I said with the episode with the book, which are both spoiler-free reviews, the ending twists in this book, explaining the hair thing, is awful. It's truly awful. I think it's probably one of the worst twists ever given in Goosebumps. Ever. Ever, in my opinion. Now, TV books, they have 8 pages in them with colored photos from the TV show itself, from the episode. And some of these are pretty much just kids with their faces gawking at something. You know, here's a great example. Page number 1. Kids gawking at something that surprises them. Of course, as you can see, you have things that are here that have some writing to tell you about the story. Each of the 8 pages have that. And, you know, it typically spoils the book. And this one's no different. It spoils the ending of the book. So if you're going to read the book and you've never seen the episode or read the original book, just be wary if you're reading this. I try to warn everybody every time when I see ones like this that spoil so much. As you read this one, be careful because the book, these colored photos show up halfway through the book, and they will spoil everything later on in the story if you truly care about how this book ends. I don't think you should, because it's garbage, but there you go. One of the other complaints I always have, almost always with the recent ones I've read from the TV book series, are how blurry the pictures can be. Look at this. Look at this. This is not the pages changing over time. This is so blurry looking, dude. Unbelievably so. And I understand the quality of TV at that time. It's a low-budget show. It's going to look like that. But it's almost unforgivable when you look at the quality of this and look at the quality of some of the other TV books. It's not fair. But again, it's not the actual book itself. The words and everything look really good. The framing around these photos look good. It's the pictures. It's just the quality of the filmmaking from back in the day and the kind of quality of pictures we had back in the day. Take stills from shows. This book's horrible. This isn't a hard one to find either, I believe, so take that for what it's worth. A lot of people aren't hunting this one down. When it comes to Goosebumps Presents TV Book Number 6, My Hairiest Adventure, I hate this book. It's garbage. It's one of the worst I've ever read. Just the whole concept in general is bad. I wish Stine had never created it. I think it's one of the worst filler books out there for Goosebumps. But for TV books, this is probably the worst, if I had to bet. If I had to say off the top of my head, thinking right now in front of you, I think this one is the one I hate the most. Even though I'm not impressed with TV books in general, this is the worst, by far. I was not looking forward to this. I was determined it was not going to be one of the last couple that I read out of the TV book series. I wanted to get it out of the way. And for today, with Attack of the Graveyard Ghouls being bad, it was kind of a bad day to pick to read this next, but I wanted it out of the way. Anyway, here we are, talking about this one. If I had to rate My Hairiest Adventures TV book on a 5-star basis, I'd give it a 1 out of 5 stars. It's garbage. I hate it. Don't check it out. Don't pick this up. Unless you're a collector, don't pick it up. It's not worth your money or your time or your efforts to even read it. It's garbage. It's not going to save anything. There's not really any changes from what I can tell. You know, Spongy and Completionist and I typically talk in the comments about how we are curious about what's changed in some of these TV books compared to the episodes, stuff that didn't make it in, that were edited out, or anything like that. And that's usually pretty cool. Pretty interesting stuff. This book didn't really have anything different in it anyway, so it's garbage. Anyway, what did you think about the My Hairiest Adventure TV book? Did you love it? Did you hate it? I'd love to hear all your thoughts and comments down below because I have no reason to talk about this book ever again. I hate My Hairiest Adventure so much. I've literally all day I've been like, I don't want to read another book because I know I have to read that one next in my brain. And here I am. Anyway, I have another TV book review for you, and then I will read Ghost in the Mirror on Friday. God willing, everything goes well this week. And then I'll do the ranking videos for Series 2000 next week, and then probably later next week I might even review all the TV books, like rank those as well. I'll probably be done. I have like 3 more left of this series, so I'm very close. I'll be done very soon. Anyway, with all that being said, thank you for watching, guys, for this rambly, ranty review. 1 out of 5 stars for My Hairiest Adventure TV book. I do not recommend it, as you can tell. Thank you all for watching. God bless you guys. Have a good day, and goodbye.